Hi everyone, this is Darren from SimNation. Just completing this series about the situations and the skills. This one will focus on tackling, and really tackling is not only just tackling, but it's sacking, and it's how to avoid blocks as well as how to force a fumble. So a lot of tackling is kind of, I would say it's nonsensical, right? For tackling, your two main attributes are always going to be um, tackling and strength. So generally, the rule of thumb for me when it comes to tackling is, uh, especially if you're trying to do run defense, is try to have people who have strength over 65, maybe in the 70s. The tackling should be definitely in the high 70s or 80s. Intelligence does play into this as well, no different than a lot of things. So does agility, so does speed. Speed's the ability to get there, agility is the ability to be able to make the cuts that you need to make the tackle. Agility, again, is an influencer on tackle. And of course, intelligence is knowing where to be. Now, the stats a lot of people don't think about when it comes to tackling is competitiveness. Again, Wolverine is prioritizing competitiveness, but also leadership skills. Now, again, tackling can come in many different forms. There was the tackling that you do to in open field, which is more traditionally tackling strength, speed, agility, and competitiveness. And then there's the other type of tackling, which is how do you get into a backfield and avoid uh, being blocked? Will things like agility, speed, and tackling mean a little bit more in competitiveness. So when you're thinking about who are your best pass rushers, generally speaking, you want to kind of inverse the whole blocking thing, right? So strength does matter, agility does matter, speed does matter. Those are really the big ones. Intelligence, it's important, but it's not in the same category when you're talking about rushing. Now, trait-wise, thumper is the big trait for just tackling in general. It's also the big trait for forcing fumbling because it generally just means the guy hits hard. Um, the For pass rushing, traditionally pass rushers or speed rushers or bull rushers. Speed rushers more about speed. You want to have someone with speed traditionally with that category. Bull rush is more about they're very strong. They're essentially lifting the tackle off the ground or the guard off the ground and going straight in. So when you're thinking about how to force a fumble, again, it comes back to tackling, strength, and intelligence. Intelligence, a lot of people downplay it, but intelligence is a very important skill across pretty much other things. I would rate it just under speed. Um, but those are the main ones for determining if someone will cough the ball up when you hit them. So keep in mind tackling, strength, intelligence. So tackling, of course, is your ability to bring them down. Strength is your ability to hit them with force. Intelligence is knowing where to be, so that way you can do it. And then, of course, if you have the trait of thumper or box safety, you're going to have a much better tackler. Box safety is normally with strong safeties and free safeties. Center fielder is the more coverage one. Box safety is the more tackling one. So that's kind of it. I probably shouldn't have chose Washington because I don't think that they really have great tacklers on this team, unfortunately. I probably should have chose Maryland, who has much better tacklers. But if we look at the linebacker hill, you'll kind of notice that traditionally I'm maxing on speed, I'm maxing on tackling. I don't have a lot of strong people, which is one of the reasons why Washington struggles with pass defense, especially when it comes to linebackers. But in this case, what I'm prioritizing is my linebackers are not playing near the line. They're just trying to make tackles in the open field. When you look at my defensive ends, you immediately notice I do have people who are relatively strong and have good speed. Like if you look at Callaway, he is actually a pretty decent defensive end. He hasn't seen much action for with me, and I need to fix that because I probably should have been playing him more last season than I did. Mostly just because um, the guy who I think I actually had playing had a pretty good season. But if you look like Lindsey, who is a defensive tackle, very, very strong, good speed, good tackling for a defensive tackle. He's relatively agile, has a huge competitiveness, and he was pretty good from a season or two ago. And again, didn't see much playing time last season because I prioritized different players over them. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But that is kind of how you should think about tackling. Have a great night.